Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Good afternoon, Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us Lou Perez, who is the head writer and producer for We the Internet. We're about to go on tour together.
Yes.
P.S. I just got back from my hairstylist, and I thought the Tulsi Gabbard streak was going to get cut out, and instead we turned it into some kind of bouffant. And I don't know what's going on there, but it's a situation. And everyone's just going to have to suck it up for the... I don't know how many months this thing's going to last now.
I think you have to learn how to play a synthesizer now. Like you have a real... or a keytar sort of thing.
I love...
and fight crime.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm not hearing... I'm liking where this is going. Now, so for those who don't know, what is... First, you're not wearing a lapel pin.
What's that?
You don't have a lapel pin.
Oh no, am I supposed to have one?
Yeah. Like that zazzes up every outfit.
I'm sorry, man. I've already messed up. This is... I'm a big fan of the show, and I already screwed up.
Yeah, I have a whole lapel pin collection. Just this morning, I got one from Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet? Forgotten Planet? What's that movie from the 70s with the blue aliens? Forbidden. Yeah. Are you familiar with that?
No, I think there's a comic book store, though, that
There's
I've heard of.
The comic book store is Forgotten Planet.
Oh.
No, wait. Nate, which is which? One is a Czech movie that's an allegory about communism.
Okay.
So it's about these blue aliens who are giant called drogs who keep humans as pets.
That's the Fantastic Planet.
Fantastic Planet.
And for Forbidden Planet,
that is a store. Yeah, so Fantastic Planet. I just got a lapel pin this morning. This conversation is of interest to no one, much like usually on this show.
Unless you have a new sponsor, it's just like lapel
I do have a
pins.
new sponsor. We have their sneaker company. They're coming on board shortly, and I needed new gym sneakers. And Sheath Underwear is now rivaling Heshy Socks as my favorite sponsor. Wow. So I'm very, very excited. I'm switching all my underwear to Sheath Underwear because it's got a separate pouch for your balls and your dick.
Are you gonna donate your old undies to the needy, to people who need amazing underwear?
Do you know what my old undies were?
No.
They were my favorite thing is gingham. For those who don't know what that is, it's that tablecloth fabric where it's like black, like red and white, like on pizzerias. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's represents joy and happiness. It's very spring. So all my underwear was gingham, literally all of it. Like
family style, basically.
See? It's all
nice.
gingham. And now it's all going to be Sheath. Maybe I could convince Sheath to do some gingham underwear. Okay, so let's talk about We the Internet. What is We the Internet?
We the Internet is a comedy news channel. We do political satire, and we've been around for, I think we're going on like 5 years of making content on YouTube and Facebook.
You guys got started with my buddy Andrew Heaton.
Yeah, Andrew was, at first, there were just like a lot of different voices. So I was a freelancer, and Andrew was one of the main people there. And then over the years, Andrew went and did his own thing. I think he started doing stuff at Blaze TV and all that. And then, I worked my way from freelancer up to head writer and producer.
Was there drama when Andrew left?
Was there drama? I don't know. It's been so long. Andrew's such a nice guy that I can't imagine. I mean, there wasn't any drama between us.
Well, according to a rumor I just started, he said we should send minorities to Africa.
Well, which ones? Which minorities?
That's the funny part.
Yeah, let's be...
He says Asians. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Wait, so who are you guys trying... Like, how are you positioning yourselves online? Like, who's your audience? Like, and who are you trying to counter-program?
Well, something that I've noticed is when you look at comedy, especially political comedy, it all seems to be coming from the same point of view, whether it's the left or left of center. And I happen to be a small L libertarian, and I've been doing comedy for...
So that means you have Asperger's but not autism.
Right. I know how to talk to chicks. All right, bro? I had a date for Valentine's Day, so let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So, for me, I never really...
There's some political comedy for you. Libertarian has dates.
One date just for the month.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a married guy.
Are you?
So, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, that's wonderful.
Guy.
Okay,
and I'm actually we are awaiting the arrival of our first child.
I have 3 suggestions
Please.
for kid's name:
Oh,
Michael, David, or
David.
David. David with a B.
David with a B.
So
Okay.
you could call him Babe, and then he'd be like, "No, it's David with a B." And I had a third one, I forget, but Michael is up for the taking.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to name.
You call him
the
Nike
kid.
for short. Nike's a cool nickname.
Dude, you're just trying
got
to
us a
get
victory.
You're trying to get more and more endorsements on this show.
Oh,
Just to
Nike,
think it-
not at gunpoint. My buddy Chris Williamson this morning was trying to text me to buy these Nike sneakers, and I said, I'm getting recognized at the gym now, and if I'm going to be wearing that pleb brand at the gym, I will be absolutely just humiliated.
and the Hong Kong stuff too.
What about it?
Well, wasn't there a whole thing where Nike decided to get rid of a brand because one of the designers was very critical of China's treatment of Hong Kong?
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was a little while back.
Oh my God, they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're even worse than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Okay. I'm gonna have to add them to the list of companies I won't work with, like White Castle, because it's just inedible.
Well, it's edible. I mean, but
I can't get it down. You enjoy White Castle?
oh yeah, but when it comes out, it's the worst. It's very painful afterward.
Huh.
I grew up in Queens, so I know all
Where-
about
where in
White
Queens?
Castle. Originally Woodside.
Oh, that's far out.
Yeah, and then Little Neck, which is even farther out. It's like right by Long Island.
So let's go back to We the Internet.
Okay.
Right. So you guys make funny videos.
Yeah.
So you were saying most comedy comes from a left of center perspective.
Yeah, and for me, being a libertarian and being able to fuse my comedy with my point of view, it just seemed like a natural fit. So we're kind of filling, I think, a void or a niche that's out there, and I'm just making the kinds of videos that I want to make.
Who do you think is the funniest person at Reason Magazine?
Oh, at Reason Magazine, I think Nick Gillespie's very funny, writing wise. Who else? Michael Moynihan used to be at Reason.
He's very funny.
Very funny. Matt Welch is very funny. They have a lot of funny people there.
Matt is an underrated humor person. He's funnier than people realize. Nick, my friend, was wearing a leather jacket. And
Black leather jacket.
Black leather jacket, my friend who's an anarchist. And I asked him if it was from the Nick Gillespie collection, Touch of Nick. And you just know the ads are just Nick like this. Yeah.
I do wonder if it's one jacket or he has like 20 lined up. And then
like a
every
superhero?
day. Yeah.
I mean, the point of a leather jacket, and this is someone who's a bit of a clothes horse, is you want that thing to get beat up over the years, so you earn that wear and tear and that distress. Like, that's the beauty of leather, that like you earn those. Like, this is what drives me crazy, is when you have these T-shirts that have like faux distressed like logos. No, you have to put the work in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your jacket should tell a story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've had a leather jacket. I got a great one. My older brother bought it for me when I think I was like 15 or 16. I had it for maybe like 10 years. Then I went to an after party at the UCB theater. Went to go find it. Someone stole it.
Oh,
Done.
that's awful.
Yeah, I haven't been able to buy a leather jacket.
I got gifted from a client a pair of leather boots. I looked them up because I'm Jewish, and they're $2,000.
$2,000.
And the question is, when you have $2,000 leather boots, do you wear them every day or do you never wear them? And the answer is never. I've worn them literally 3 times. I'm terrified to wear them. I think I'm going to sell them at this point because I'm just scared.
Yeah, I'd be really scared to wear it, especially with the weather and just the city being the way it is.
So they're hiding away. So let's talk about this tour. We're going on tour together.
Yeah, what is this about? What's going on with that?
Is that going to be the level of comedy?
Yeah.
What's this about?
What's the deal with this tour? Yeah.
Talk about a little about this tour.
Sure. So Michael and I, Michael has been so gracious to be a headliner on this show, this tour with me. We're going to be in New York, Dallas, and Phoenix, basically closing out February 2020. And we're going to be screening We the Internet TV's new documentary, 5 Reasons Why We Need Sweden's Democratic Socialism.
So why Sweden specifically?
I think the reason why we chose Sweden is when it comes to politicians, particularly Bernie Sanders, AOC, anytime they want to point to a model for their quote-unquote democratic socialism, they always talk about the Nordic countries.
Sure.
In particular, Sweden has come up multiple times. So the idea was, well, what would happen if they sent me to Sweden, and I go and I talk to a bunch of professionals.
Did you go to Sweden?
Yeah, I actually got to go to.
You didn't get kicked out like Tim Pool?
Oh, no, why did he get kicked out?
Oh, Tim Pool went to Sweden. He was interviewing people, talking about no-go zones. They deported him. And then when they aired an interview with him on the TV, they literally edited his answers to make it look like things he didn't say. He had the original footage. So the thing, and I'm sure I'm jumping the gun on what you're going to say, when you have these so-called democratic socialist plans in practice, very barely under the surface, you have the fist of totalitarianism.
Well, also it's a weird thing where so they decide to throw out Tim, but not any of the people committing the crimes and throwing bombs.
Because Tim's being racist, right? So racism under their ideology is a sin, a bomb is a crime. So when you have this worldview, it makes sense, right? Because you're always going to have criminals, but we don't have to have space for sin in our society. So it's very much a fundamentalist creed. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this on the tour as well. I cover Swedish politics very heavily on my other show, Nightshade. Their parliament has 9 different parties, and they are... This is really fun. When you have these lefties come at you on Twitter, this is free trolling. Like Finland. Finland is the first country in Europe, other than like Hungary and Eastern Europe, to have the nationalist, quasi-racist in government. The second biggest party are called the True Finns, and you know what that means. So it's interesting how all these countries who Bernie talks about and AOC, who are like, okay, we need more democratic socialism. As a consequence, you do have very much a nativist reaction.
Yeah, I don't trust any country that doesn't have Puerto Ricans. Like I'm from New York, man. This is what I know, and this is what I'm going for.
Do you know who Luis J. Gomez is?
Yeah, I do.
He's a real snake by his own admission.
By his own admission.
Yeah.
He would be a shark, right? The Jets and the Sharks, in West Side Story.
I've never seen West Side Story.
No? I saw it for the first time last year. Unbelievable.
Is it really good? It holds up?
It's amazing. The choreography is great. The way it's shot, it's brilliant.
Okay. We could watch it on tour.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
We could watch it on tour. Yeah.
Why not?
Well, whose room?
But we'll have some downtime.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of downtime. I did put in my rider that I'm not allowed, that you can't address me. I have to be the one to open conversations.
Well, I was going to say, like even the idea that you would even want to spend time with me outside of being on stage, it's...
I didn't say want to. I was implying I'm bored out of my mind and quite possibly high on goofballs.
Lou, get over here. We're watching West Side Story again.
There's snapping involved, clearly. They know here. They know. All right, let me interrupt you for a second. What are you most looking forward to about us going on tour?
The one thing I'm most looking forward to about going on tour is playing in front of a live audience.
Yeah, it's so much, because you're an internet guy, obviously we the internet, but when you have that live feedback, how does that dynamic differ for you psychologically?
It's great because it's immediate there. You get to hear the crowd. There's even a kind of a buzz that you can feel when people's clothing is moving. And it also gives me the chance to stretch my stand-up comedy muscles.
Yeah. Have you ever, this must have happened just statistically, a joke that usually kills doesn't land? Like, are you at a point where you don't care, or does it still get you?
It'll still get me. I will, then afterwards, like maybe sort of relive that moment a little too much. And then I need somebody to remind me like, hey, just let it go.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Because I did comedy for a very brief period many years ago, and I stopped because a joke that killed one night bombed the next. And I'm like, I can't have completely different outputs with the same input. It's too much of a head game.
Mm-hmm. And it's something too where, depending on where you're doing that show, like if you're doing it in a theater, if you're doing it in a cool cafe, if you're doing it in a loud bar, and then something can happen and your timing gets off. Yeah.
Wait, so tell me more about why Sweden was the model, because they always invoke Sweden. You're saying Bernie. So you thought this would be a good counterpoint to, how long's that flight?
I think it was a little bit over 8 hours, or I might have flown into London and then transferred. What did you think Sweden was going to be like before you got there, and what was it like after you were there? Well, I thought going there that everyone was going to be like 6'5" and blonde. That's not the case at all.
6'8"?
A little. Yeah, about 6'8". Terrible at basketball though. It's like, how can you be that tall and doofy? It's really sad. So I had that image of like the Swede, the eyebrows you can't see because they're so light. Not the case.
Really?
Yeah. Granted, I did go to Stockholm, which is just another one of their big cities. I was a little upset with the lack of sunlight that they have. So their days are really short. So
Like how short are we talking?
I think the sun started going down at like 4 p.m.
And what time did it rise? Like normal time?
About maybe like 7 or something.
So
like
what's that like Is it true that it has a psychological consequence?
Oh yeah, and what made it tough is we only had so many days to shoot there. I think like 5 days or something like that. So we were.
How many people went?
It was a crew of 4, including myself. So 2 camera people, a producer named Carolyn, and me. So none of us had been to Sweden before.
Yeah.
And Carolyn was a great producer, getting contacts and all that. But when you have to shoot all this stuff, basically with the amount of daylight that you have.
Oh, right.
And then I have to go back to the hotel and it's dark out and prepare for the next day. So I have to, read up on Swedish policy and stuff like that to be able to have these conversations with these people. And had to learn Swedish because no one speaks English there.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about Sweden is that they speak American English, not British English, because they watch American television, so they have perfect accents.
Yeah, I was blown away by how well everyone spoke English.
And I think it was Tom Green who went there and filmed, and he was pretending like he couldn't understand them. I was like, "Oh, sorry, I don't know what you're saying." And they're like, "You have to go there and to the left." He's like, "Can you slow down? I don't." They're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
And then he started putting his ass on every.
Yeah. So what did you learn when you were there? If we can spoil the film a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the first lesson that I learned is that they are not democratically socialist.
Oh.
They describe themselves as a capitalist welfare state.
Okay.
Where they are all about. They're very pro-business. They're about expansion and things of that nature. And the welfare side comes where they are taxed very high on income taxes and also the VAT, the VAT tax, value added tax. That's like 25%.
Oh wow!
So I didn't realize that. So that was the first lesson that I learned. And overall, I came away very interested in just how practical they are about addressing problems that they have. So when you take something like having a big welfare state, rather than saying, look, we're just going to get all the billionaires to pay for everything. They say, no, if we want all these services, we all have to pay for these services. And that's something that's constantly missing anytime, someone, points to them as the model of democratic socialism. It's like, no, you can't just soak the rich. Middle-class people are going to have to pay upwards of 50, 60% of their taxes. I was really blown away by that. And also, I think it's like 40% of their energy comes from nuclear too.
Huh.
So they have a really interesting relationship with environmentalism and energy. In particular, it's a nation that, like I said, the sun goes down in the winter very early. It's very cold there, and they have to, expend a lot of power. And they do it through nuclear, they do it through hydro, but they're also looking to go green as well and use different kinds of renewables. And, in the U.S., we keep hearing about the Green New Deal, where we want to get off, we want to be carbon neutral in 10 to 12 years. And we're a country of 330 million. I'm like, Sweden's a country of 10 million. Maybe they could do it. And the people I talk to are like, no, that's impossible. Like, we're shooting for 2045, and we're making like little moves to get there. So I feel like it's almost like a country of adults talking about what needs to be done in politics and expressing goals and how to get there.
Yeah. Does everyone dress crazy there, or do they dress normal?
Well, it was winter, so everyone kind of had, like the overcoat on. No one looked really weird. I did go to the Abba Museum, and
Did you really?
Yeah. Outside it.
You didn't go in?
I didn't go in. We didn't have time.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, it didn't go in.
You make time for Abba.
Or time just exists as Abba.
I mean, do you know who's a huge Abba fan?
Who?
Sid Vicious.
Oh, yeah.
He actually went to the airport where they land in New York or in Heathrow, whatever, and he was like, "Oh my god!" And they're just screaming like that. This freaky junkie is like in their face. The girls.
Wow. Yeah, Abba is one of those things where, if you like it, people like kind of make fun of you, and it's they're all joy.
No. This is how it works. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me explain to you and to everybody. It's like if you're a food someone. There's a foodie, mm-hmm. and there's a food critic. Okay. Food critic, and now people understand this more, like the late great Anthony Bourdain, will love to eat street food because it's not trying to be fine dining, and good street food is superb, right?
Right.
Every music critic on earth, I think there might not literally be one exception, adores ABBA because they're doing what they set out to accomplish. So when you have people who are posers, like foodies, like, oh, I'm not going to eat, at McDonald's. It's like McDonald's isn't trying to be Le Cirque. And ABBA isn't trying to be a symphony. So when you have people who look down at ABBA, they're assholes who deserve none of your time. They're the midwits. These are the people who are marginally intelligent who think they're brilliant.
And I'm amazed too that here's a Swedish group in the 70s who captured that sound and really made it their own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Patti Smith, who was, early punk and had a song whose title I can't even repeat now. In the late 70s, when she was kind of big, she would sing on shows, "You Light Up My Life." And they're like, oh, you're this big punk. You're trying to be ironic. She goes, no, it's a great song.
Yeah.
So I think this is very much this, and I think it very much ties into progressivism, this kind of holier than thou, almost in certain cases, literally holier than thou, looking down on people with these kind of like déclassé tastes. It's like, no, those people are real. Those people are valuable, and you're an asshole. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you see this a lot in comedy as well.
Oh, totally.
And political comedy.
Oh yeah, there's this idea of woke comedy too. I have friends of mine in England. They do this podcast called Trigonometry, and they were talking about just how miserable it is at some of these clubs where they have woke comedians come on that are basically giving TED Talks, and nobody's laughing, and everyone's just kind of. And I don't get it. I don't understand that.
Were you the guys who made that video about the comedian who's finally brave enough to make fun of Trump?
Look, man, if you're going to talk about Doug Allin, okay, I just don't want to be a part of it.
Well, I don't understand it.
Oh, that's the name of the comedian.
But that was you guys. That was me, the interview.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because that video, I was like, okay, for a long time, I thought it was very unfortunate that either conservatives or libertarians did not have a sense of humor. Certainly, you're not getting it from the Fountainhead. And then to see that, where using Jon Stewart type tactics on the left, I was like, wow, there might be hope for these degenerates yet.
Yeah, Doug Allin is a comedy creation. He's a stand-up comedian who is brave enough to make fun of Donald Trump. He's the one comedian brave enough to make fun of Donald Trump. And when we did that video and we put it out there are people who think Doug Allin is real. They don't get the joke. And a lot of them it was actually tricking a lot of people on the right. And the people on the right were like, oh, this is bullshit, man. You could see this any night on late night. This is trash. So bad that I had to make a video.
No, you didn't.
Asking, did you get the joke? And explaining what fictional characters are.
You explained it to them?
Yeah. So anytime we
I'd block you on Twitter for this.
Anytime we reshare a video and somebody comes back at us with that, we're like, here's another video that we made just for you, so you understand what fictional characters are and that Doug Allin is not a real person.
Why are you welcoming the subnormal into the fold? That person is already demonstrating to you that they're never going to be of use.
It might be that I think I might have a little subnormal in me that I'm just.
Well, you're on the right show for that. That's for sure.
And then we did a Doug Allin second special. Is where he takes on a sacred cow, the one thing you were never, ever allowed to make fun of, straight white men. And he goes all in on that.
All right, let me interrupt you for a second. What are you most looking forward to about us going on tour?
The one thing I'm most looking forward to on the tour is getting to see parts of America that I haven't been to before.
It's such, to me, a blessing to be like, all right, and the fact that these are, I'm going to use the word very broadly, random cities. Like if you put me on a map, like Phoenix isn't going to be one of the 10, but I'm extremely excited to have an excuse to go to Dallas and Phoenix.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I think it's something that Americans don't appreciate enough. You could basically hop on a flight and then go to what feels like another country in your own country, different landscapes and all that. I'm really looking forward to Dallas.
Why Dallas specifically?
I've never been to Dallas. I've been to Austin before, and then I've been to a little town called Archer City, Texas.
Okay.
That literally has one street light there.
But I heard everyone online told me Dallas is like a giant strip mall or giant mall, very suburban.
Well, I haven't had that I haven't had that experience in a while.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in Brooklyn, so I don't have like that, that strip mall, sort of vibe. But in strip malls, they might have some barbecue too. So I'm excited
Not
about
as good as Brooklyn barbecue.
Oh boy, we're gonna get death threats now.
Well, they have death threats. I give death notices. Hey guys, want to tell you about Mudwater, MUDWTR. What's Mudwater? It's better than coffee, and it lets you look down your face and your nose at those disgusting coffee drinkers. So, what does Mudwater do? If you use promo code DRINKMUD, you get 15% off. What they did, it's a coffee alternative, and it helps. You don't get anxiety, you don't get jitters, you get energy, you get that extra kick to get work done. Turmeric for inflammation, lion's mane for focus. What else? Cinnamon to help suppress sugar cravings. It doesn't taste like mud. It tastes amazing. And they got a bunch of recipes. There's a whole ritual with making it, just like with coffee. Do it in the office. Do it at a party. Oh, what are you drinking there? Oh, it's Mudwater. You probably haven't heard of it. And they haven't, but you have because you listen to this show. If you go to mudwtr.com and use promo code DRINKMUD, you get 15% off your order. It's such a great alternative to coffee, tea, and energy drinks. You remember I used to drink Monster all the time. I cut that crap out. mudwtr.com, Mudwater, and you'll be saying you are welcome. Let's get back to the show. Babylon Bee, who I'm sure you are fans of, who are ruthless savages that I cannot believe exist and who school me on the regular basis. I was just on their show, and they were talking about how they had an satirical article. AOC chokes herself while tying dumb AOC chokes herself to death while tying her shoelaces because she's so stupid, and basically making fun of this, like, AOC is so dumb, and so many of their readers did not get it, or shared it unironically.
Did they get fact checked for that one?
Oh no, oh god, Snopes.
Yeah,
I'm shocked that my Berlin Wall tweet which went viral over the weekend. My first time I was trending on Twitter, I was expecting Snopes to write an article that Hitler did not, in fact, build the Berlin Wall. My favorite is when people correct me and say it was Stalin who did it, even though it was Khrushchev. I'm like, you idiots, not Hitler, it was Stalin. I'm like, oh, okay, you got me there, you idiots.
But the Babylon Bee, it's such an interesting story too, because the guys are devout Christians.
Oh yes, there's no joke.
And actually today, you get the question all the time of why aren't there more conservative comedians, right? And the follow-up question I have is, why aren't there more happy comedians?
Yeah.
It's such a silly question to be asking, because I think it might be that for so long we've been getting our comedy from the sources that gatekeepers think, that this is the comedy that you should be watching. And then you get guys like the Babylon Bee who have a completely different perspective, who are able to navigate and compete in the same arena, and I think it's awesome.
You don't think that the leftist mindset lends itself more to creating comedy than the conservative mindset?
Let's see. Well, I think it's interesting I think anything that creates sacred cows, especially the newer the sacred cow is, lends itself to be to mockery.
Sure.
Because I think the amount of comedians out there making fun of Christianity. It's like, all right, man. Wow. Okay. It's been done. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Actually,
I want to hear your thoughts. This is my show.
Okay. Sorry.
You don't think psychologically that there's certain aspects of leftism that lend itself more to the humorous impulse than conservatives? I don't mean the right. I mean specifically conservatives.
For them to do comedy?
Or to be funny.
I wonder if there's some something to the psychology of, I don't know if you're more likely if you're depressed or something like that sort of opens a door for you. Myself, I'm someone that I've gotten better, but I've had like low lows and stuff like that, and I know that kind of mindset has helped open doors of, I guess, perception in a way. Maybe how I see the world. But it doesn't necessarily make for the most joyful. It could be tough to enjoy what you're doing and what you're producing if it's all just making and not taking a moment and enjoying it.
Well, I do like. Here's a couple of funny Babylon Bee stories. So I was on, and they said, tongue in cheek, but only half joking. This is fair to them. They weren't being insulting at all. I took this as a compliment. That they were saying, okay, this is going to be our opportunity to ask you to accept Christ, and it was a hard pass for me. And they had asked that previously of my buddy Andrew Doyle, who's famous for Titania McGrath, the satirical character on Twitter. And Andrew's gay, and he goes, well, this is my opportunity to convert you to homosexuality. And they're like, ha, 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 ha.
I think one of those are easier to do. No. He's a cute guy. I think he can turn some guys.
Well, I think accepting Jesus is a lot easier than sucking a dick.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like if there's a gun to your head, I know which one you're choosing. Both. Have you gone on a tour before?
Yeah, last year we did a tour where we promoted another documentary called 5 Reasons Why We Need Hate Speech.
Okay.
And that one was fun. So we got to go to Portland, Los Angeles, where else? DC.
Okay.
As well. And at the LA stop, at the Portland stop, we were, you have a show called 5 Reasons Why We Need Hate Speech. And we were worried, Portland's like ground zero for Antifa. Oh man, is Antifa going to show up? But it turns out Dinesh D'Souza had an event that same night. So I guess Antifa went there, to go bother him. So we were good, and the show went off without a hitch. But in LA, though, one of our guests, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Deborah So.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Deborah's been a great friend of We the Internet, and she's been on multiple videos that we've made. And so she was joining us in LA, and it turns out we had to hire private security because she was getting threats on
Deborah So?
Deborah So was getting threats.
Isn't she about gender? But she's a doctor. It's Dr. Deborah So.
Yeah, she.
She's not some kind of provocateur.
No, and I think she does neurology and sexology or something like that. And she was writing a column for Playboy. And apparently it's that topic that has gotten her in the most trouble, that she's received threats over that because she has her, opinions about transgenderism and that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was, we're putting on a comedy show. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an event where people can come down and talk about stuff and interact and have drinks. And the idea oh man, there's actually a credible threat on this person's life, or so it kind of soured it for me.
I can't wait to be as vicious as possible with this audiences. Like this is
like Gigi Allin. You're just going to start throwing shit at them. And
my friend went to see a Gigi Allin show in Austin many years ago, where he literally took a shit on stage. He found a girl in the audience. He rubbed it on his face, gave her a big kiss. And as my friend in the audience looks, as she passes by and goes, excuse me, wipes the shit from her face, try to get to the bathroom. Gigi Allin, who passed away, was many years ago, you can find this on YouTube, on I think Jane Whitney show with Michael Alec from the Club Kids. And everyone in the audience was screaming at Gigi Allin, you're a horrible, evil murderer, and talking about how Michael Alec, they're just playing dress up. Cut to years later, Michael Alec chopped up somebody and is in jail, and Gigi Allin is probably an accountant in his personal life.
Wow.
Yeah, I have one of Michael Alec's paintings in my living room because I was going through Soho one day and I thought the signature in a painting said Malice, and then it was M. Alec, and I'm like, huh. And it was pretty cheap, and I'm like, yeah, so I bought it.
Wow. And just for those of you listening, Gigi Allin, that wasn't his encore. Like he did that like a song in, I guess it would depend on where he was eating.
Depends on the crowd.
Yeah.
Wait, so what kind of crowd reaction can I expect on this tour? What kind of crowd reaction did you have last year?
The crowds loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in Portland. In Portland, we had a great group there. We had Brett Weinstein and Heather Hine and Katie Herzog, who were just fantastic people. So afterward, we had a lot of people coming up and saying thank you so much for having this discussion here. We feel kind of isolated being in Portland.
What were some of the reasons that we need hate speech?
Let's see. Some of the reasons why we need hate speech. I think probably the biggest one is that it's so hard to define what hate speech is, where hate speech has basically come to mean any speech that you think hateful.
Speech you hate.
Yeah, exactly. Is hate speech. And we can just look across the pond to Europe and see how hate speech laws are actually enforced and who they end up hurting.
And who they end up emboldening.
Yes.
Because now it becomes like kids and smoking. Oh, you can't say certain things? Well, I'm just going to make a political party. Politicians are often much more protected than the layman. And now I'm going to say publicly, and you can vote for me to put these policies into practice. Great job, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And also historically speaking, the most dangerous speech is sometimes is most of the time the speech we really need to hear. When you're talking about civil rights movements and the abolition movement and all that, this is all speech that was considered hate speech and should be oppressed.
Yeah. Okay. What were some of the other reasons?
What were some of the other reasons? Let's see. We were doing the documentary. We purposely went out of our way to get people on the left who are big supporters of free speech. So Nadine Strossen, who was a former president of the ACLU.
She's worked with Cato a lot.
Yeah. And
real libertarians as well. Sure.
Yeah, she's great. And something that you learn is if you're not confronting the other side of your arguments, well, your arguments are going to get weak, and you're not going. If you don't have the arguments as to why racism is bad, because you're not debating racist actual arguments, that muscle is going to atrophy.
Well, you saw what happened with Charlie Kirk. In Turning Point USA, you had all these groypers who came up and were asking him the hard questions, and he didn't have any answers at first, and it looked very, very bad. And I'm going to say something else that I learned just this week.
Sure.
I'm reading Molly Hemingway's book on Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation called Justice on Trial. Elena Kagan, who's a very left-wing Supreme Court justice, her previous background was dean from the Harvard Law School, and I think she worked for Obama in some legal capacity. As dean of Harvard Law, she hired several more conservative professors because her point of view was, if it's a disservice to my students if they are not going to be able to engage with these ideas, because if you're facing them in court, you're going to be completely blindsided.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the right approach for an academic to have.
And look at the relationship with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia.
Yeah.
They were best of friends, but also...
And then she killed him and took his life force.
Yeah, that was nuts, man.
Yeah. We all saw it coming, though.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
She took his life force.
She did.
That was a lot of life force, right? He's a very large man.
and she's 300.
Oh, man.
Yeah, she's an elderly woman. But so you didn't have any like people yelling at you on these shows?
No, the one actually the one show in Colorado Springs, the only yelling took place. I opened up with some stand-up comedy, and there were just a couple of drunk hecklers who probably kids in their early 20s who can't handle their liquor. So I had to handle them.
Well, tell me about this. What'd you do? What would they say?
What was the one? So being someone who puts a lot of material out online, I get a lot of comments, and the one comment I want, could people just stop calling me a cuck? Like that'd be really great, because I've only been married a year, and my wife and I, we're not there yet. We might have more time, right? So when I said, quit calling me, of course, this drunk asshole's got to call me a cuck, and then I start looking, and
it's like you're a puppet, like a dog barking at cue.
Exactly. And then I look at this.
Oh, I bet you didn't see this one coming. I am going to call you a cuck. Boomerang.
And I look at this kid, and I'm like, oh man, dude, nobody wants you fucking their wife. Like you're just not, like you're not, like if you were cute, or something like that. If you were a nice looking guy, I could see somebody. So I just started, it was ad hominem. But I think the kid might have learned a lesson from that.
Wow, you handled him. Yeah, and then you went home and fucked his wife in front of him.
Oh, I don't think he was married yet.
Oh, or his girlfriend. Or his mom.
Don't get me in trouble with my wife, all right, man?
Okay. I promise. It's a tough being away. How long have you been married?
We're going to be 2 years in August.
So it's going to be tough being away, or is it going to be a relief?
No. It's going to be tough, especially my wife is... we're expecting the baby to come around March 31st. Oh. So, I want to be there, with her and all that. But also, I'm going to be spending my birthday away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which day is it going to be?
It's going to be, I think, the Wednesday, the 26th.
Oh, that's the day we have off.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to fuck it up for you.
Oh, shit.
I love... Lou, what is it again?
February 26th.
February 26th. I gave a course on a talk on networking to both FEE, which is a prominent Autism Speaks organization, and the Mises Institute, which is another full-blown autism organization. And one of the things I said to them, and I went full Ayn Rand, I said, if you know someone's in town and it's their birthday and they're not doing anything, take them out. And I say, I'm saying this for selfish reasons, and then everyone laughs. And I say, the guy who takes someone out for their birthday is awesome. And there's nothing stopping you from being that person. Don't you want to be that person? Don't you want to be the guy who takes people out for their birthday?
Yeah.
So so what are you going to be in Dallas or Phoenix that day?
I think Phoenix.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
I did a poll and they said Phoenix is better to spend a day in than Dallas, so I'll be in Phoenix.
Nice. And so I'm going to be 38.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I have a tough time. But last year was a tough birthday because it was approaching and I couldn't, like, I was waking up in the middle of the night. It was just all mortality stuff.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, please.
I promise you this is true. And you're going to hear my voice in the future, my annoying Ben Shapiro-y nasally voice. Life in your 40s, it sounds crazy, and this is like midlife crisis, I'm telling you, is so much better than life in your 30s.
Wow.
And it sounds ridiculous, and it sounds insane, and I'm telling you, I'm having fun every day. It's the best. So I promise you, you're going to have more fun in your 40s. You get to be a dad.
Yeah.
You get to watch this little person grow up, and you get to lie to them about Santa, and then you get to tell them the truth and the tooth fairy, and this little entity is going to be calling you dad.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely amazing.
You're going to make me cry right now.
Well, I'm going to make you cry the whole tour. I mean, for several different reasons. We've got the whole emotional spectrum here.
You know, my 30s were better than my 20s.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's if you think about it, any person you look up to and respect, other than like hardcore athletes, none of them peak in their 20s. None.
Yeah.
Like they all like, as they develop, you're like, holy shit, I want to hear more from this person.
Yeah. And I noticed it too, as I, went through going through my 30s, it's like as you peak, as you become more aware of who you are and also more honest with yourself and the others around you.
Yes.
The benefits are incredible. Like I'm so happy I met my wife when I did. If I met her 5 years before, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be the guy I am.
Right. Is she libertarian?
No, I'm the first libertarian she's ever met.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that you ever met?
Ever met. She had no idea what libertarians were.
How did that come up?
How did it come up? Well, we met online.
Okay.
Well, there was a dating site. Have you ever heard of How About We?
Yeah, it's like because it gives you an idea for a date. Yeah. Like, how about we go to the zoo and people both check it off. It matches them, which is a great idea because worst case scenario, you're gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you were interested in the date, you put I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Right. So I used to put things like, how about we eat a pot cookie and clean my bathroom? Then on Mother's Day, I actually put how about we make a baby, and she thought that was hilarious, and she reached out to me. Off of that. So we met online. So already there might be, is that like a little bit of like a, tech bro libertarian thing?
No.
Some designer,
no, the libertarians have no internet game.
No,
they're really bad at it. Yeah.
Damn. What am I doing being a libertarian, man? I'm like, I feel like I'm just not checking the boxes on these.
Well, no, I think maybe you're like the new generation of libertarians, like people who are actually getting laid.
Nice. Yeah, and as far as when the liberty, stuff came up, I'm not sure. Probably just naturally in conversation. Oh no! I actually started. I brought her to a couple.
Wait, when did you meet her? How long ago was this?
I think 7 years ago.
So 5 years of dating before you you proposed.
Yeah, about 4.5.
4.5.
Like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I brought her to Kennedy had a book reading with Kurt Loder.
Yeah.
At like the Museum of Sex. Or
yeah.
That. And I think I brought my wife there. So I think that that probably wasn't the first time, I introduced her to libertarians or, liberty stuff.
The Kennedy Chronicles was the book. She's naked on the cover riding a horse, like Lady Godiva. Yeah. She
beautiful.
still does.
Yeah. So, it was like doing events like that and all that. And she's met like a bunch of people from Reason. And, yeah. And she's very, she's an insanely positive force, say in my life. And, people often ask, what's it like being a libertarian in New York? And for me, it's great because I have people I love around me. It's like I'm not trying to, force my way into any social settings that don't want me or aren't interested. And anytime things are, I feel the weight on me. I have my lady there, and she's great.
So she was like just apolitical.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the best. Because it's like if you talk politics for a living, like I don't want to talk about it when I come home.
Oh, totally.
And I don't need to hear your eye rolling about Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi. I've heard it. I know it. I get it.
Yeah, yeah. And also she's someone who, her whole life she's worked. She's worked hard. She's, driven. She's earned, she's earned what she has, so she has that, part of her that I look up to as well.
Oh, this is going to be so fun. Being a dad, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, and it's tough, looking around, and I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to all this great stuff that's happening, global poverty down below 10% and all that. I'm like, what a world I'm going to be bringing this child into. And then you have all these fuckers trying to make me scared about everything.
My friend Simon Franek, Simon, who people of the show know, he was born in Czech Republic, as he calls it, the former Yugoslavia. And his mother got pregnant under communism, and he was born in a free Czechoslovakia. And she thought, my son's never going to see freedom. So it's just such a wonderful, miraculous story. All right, let me interrupt you for a second. What are you most looking forward to about us going on tour?
The one thing I'm most looking forward to about this tour is getting away from my pregnant wife.
Yeah.
I think this is like a pretty good cover for me to skip town and just be the dad who went away.
Get your own remote. Oh. As I live and breathe, Heshy socks. I love Heshy socks. You guys know I love Heshy socks. I wear them. I sing their praises. HESHI socks.com. If you get promo code WELCOME30, you get 30% off. 30% off the socks. They've got the fancy ones. They've got the corporate ones. They've got the sports ones. They're made with high-end cotton, which is very breathable in the warm weather, but they also keep your feet warm in the cold weather. Plus, antimicrobial properties for the cotton so they don't stink. They're cushioned with arch support, and they have stay-up technology. I don't know what that means, but I'll give you an example. When I'm at the gym and I need to do deadlifts, which scrapes up your shins, I pull up my Heshy socks, and they stay up. Not like these flimsy cotton socks you get at the store. Yeah, I'm talking to you. If you go to HESHI socks.com, HeshySocks.com, and use promo code WELCOME30, you get 30% off. And I wear them. Hashtag fact. Let's get back to the show. So I got two questions about the tour poster.
Sure.
One is, I noticed you used a neon logo. Where did you guys get that idea?
Oh, I don't know. Do you have a... Okay, it's obvious. We stole it from you.
Was there negotiating? Because what's the official title? What's so funny about Socialism tour, right?
Yeah.
With Lou Perez. So you got your name on that poster.
I had to do everything I could.
No, what was there a talk? Did you put your foot down?
No, I thought it was just sort of.
Did you make the poster?
I didn't make the poster.
Okay.
No, someone else did. Yeah, I think we had like the similar poster to the last tour.
And that had the name too?
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Very, very, very smart. So your Twitter handle's Lou on the Subway.
Yeah.
What is that a reference to? Were you homeless?
Was
you a chronic masturbator?
Chronic masturbator, but not homeless. We've become.
That's how I met my wife.
We've become so antisocial, man, that on the way here on the subway, everyone was looking at their phone and not watching me masturbate. It's just so ridiculous. No,
I put that in my rider that you have to watch me.
That you have to watch me.
It's like Harvey Weinstein.
Is it eye contact the whole time, or am I looking at your junk? Like I need real specifics.
I'll be in my sheath underwear.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, that's where the great plug's gonna come.
Yeah, it is.
What was the Lou on the Subway? Yeah, I stupidly didn't get Lou Perez.
I think there must be a million Lou Perez.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was probably like 12 years ago or something like that. And I'm like, I'm going to be on the subway when I'm doing this. So yeah.
Well, why don't you change it to like something everyone like the Lou Perez or Lou Perez
Can you
official?
do that?
Yeah, you don't have to lose anything.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so whenever I have people who are followers and they have like an NPC like John Smith, I like this girl Marla. I said, change your username to Marla is awesome. Everyone will remember it. It's easy to spell instead of a series of numbers. So you could just do Lou Perez is awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Or Lou Perez comedy.
There we go.
Yeah, and you should also, I learned this from Ralph Sutton, who's the Frankenstein monster who runs this network with the Snake. You should have the same username on every social media platform. It's called synonym, like internet synonymity.
That makes sense. And then it all comes up when people search.
Right, but also like if they know what your Twitter handle is, they'll know your Insta handle immediately. They know your YouTube handle immediately.
Cool.
Yeah, so those are just some tips for the people at home. Are you someone who can sleep on a plane?
I can, but it usually it's been doing a damage to my back.
Really?
Yeah. The past few flights that I've had haven't been the most comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. So I nod off. I get a couple of hours, and then I wake up. I think it's more of like that air, that recirculating air that just.
I always get like sinus stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I get. Yeah. Do you neti pot? Do you do that?
So for people who don't know, neti pot is, I have a gif of this. It's the most disturbing thing ever. It's where a woman, and she has this no affect. She gets this pot. She leans her head at an angle, 45 degrees, like a robot. She pours the pot into one nostril, and the water comes out the other, and then it kind of cleans her sinuses. She looks deranged, and I feel like it would feel like I'm drowning.
At first it does. Like, if you want to know what waterboarding,
I don't.
feels like, I bet.
I don't. I'm a bitch. I don't need any kind of discomfort or suffering or torture.
Well, do you have sinus problems?
I did, but then I got my nose fixed.
Okay, what did you get?
I got my septum fixed and my bump taken off.
See,
I got dejewed.
Yeah, I had deviated septum. One was 70%, another was 30%.
Yeah, that's no joke.
No, I had that fixed, but my breathing was still bad. So then I had I think they called turbinates or something like that.
Okay. Oh, the balloon?
Yeah, they were. They ended up like basically reducing them. So my breathing has always sucked.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, my breathing sucks, but my sense of smell is like superhuman.
Is it really?
It's ridiculous. I smell it. I just smell things, and I'm like, this is ruining my day.
Why ruin? I think smells are awesome. Why would it ruin?
Oh
your
no,
day?
it depends what kind of smells.
Okay.
Yeah.
In New York, I guess you're gonna smell things
you're gonna
that
smell
smell so
a lot of
nice. Like
stuff.
if people on the subway too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever been to Phoenix or Dallas before?
I was in Phoenix, like Tempe, Arizona, probably like 15 years ago. My brother and I, this is going to sound so shady, my dad was opening up a bakery next to his butcher shop.
Okay.
My dad's a butcher in Spanish Harlem. So he was opening up a bakery, and my brother and I flew to Phoenix to bring back a tortilla maker, like an automated tortilla maker.
What was her name?
Maria. So we got like a U-Haul with this 1,000-pound automated tortilla maker and drove it across all the way back to New York. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was a lot. You guys get along with your brother?
Yeah, it was great. Although we both got sunburned in Phoenix, we laid out without putting anything on for I think it was like 20 minutes, and we were just
20 minutes?
Yeah, like glow in the dark, red, beet red.
Oh, I'm gonna have a situation.
Oh, no, you're definitely gonna have to put some stuff on. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go out in one of those beekeeper outfits.
Yeah. Although it's funny, we were walking in Phoenix and there was no one there. It was like a ghost town because nobody walks. Everybody drives.
Did they have the misters?
The Misters, what's that?
So there's one city in Arizona, where, I think maybe it's Scottsdale, where everyone's like bougie. And outside restaurants, they have these little things that release mist.
The mist. I was thinking of an actual dude.
Oh, no.
Like guys, like a gang of misters.
No. Do they have them?
The last time I remember seeing those were in Vegas, but
Okay.
I don't think I've seen them in Phoenix.
Okay. I'm really, really, really excited about this trip.
Me too, man. I've been a huge fan of yours, so this is very weird for me because normally I'm watching, and commenting and in my head like saying, oh, I would say this very interesting thing, like that. So
Okay. Let's go back then. What were some of these interesting things you were going to say at certain moments?
Oh, some of the moments here. Well, I was going to completely redo. You had the question about progressives in comedy.
Yeah.
Right? I would, if you gave me time, I would have such a better response than the shitty one that I gave you. Right
Well, I think that's the kind of question that I like because it's the kind of thing where it's almost like a gotcha. I'm not trying to do gotcha, but people never stop and think in those terms. Mm-hmm. We're so used to, and this is something I'm fighting very heavily against, thinking about looking at politics as politics, whereas I'm arguing that you need to look at it much more as either sociology or anthropology or even biology in a sense of like looking at human beings as animals. So like a lot of times conservatives will say, and I know you're not saying this per se, that like, oh, blah, 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 the liberals run Hollywood. It's like, okay, how did that happen? When did this not be liberal? And they don't have an answer. It's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, you're complaining like a leftist that some people have an unfair advantage. You have no explanation how we got to this point, nor do you have a plan to stop it other than bitching. So I can't take what you say seriously. Give me an explanation of how the left is so in charge of culture in America. Is it some insidious plot? Is it organic to their mindset? Is it some combination? Something, anything. And they have no answers. And I've been going down this road for a long time now. And I'm desperate for a conservative to give me a thesis, because I'm the only one who has any kind of thesis, me and Thad Russell. Tell me I'm wrong, because I can't be the only one thinking these terms. They'd have nothing. It's very, very disturbing, because there's a very increased understanding among conservatism and on the right in general that politics is downstream of culture. It's okay. Yeah, which is Andrew Breitbart quote. You have to take the fight to culture. How does culture get developed? Well, I'll get back to you. They have nothing.
Yeah, especially now, in particular with comedy, it's you have all these outlets available to you that there's just no excuse that you're not out there putting your stuff there. With your phone, you could be recording stuff. You could set up happenings where, hey, if you're a conservative comic and try to make inroads with your community and be like, hey, I need your support. I need you to come down and support me.
So what? You guys must get a lot of hate.
Sure.
So what are some of the recurring things that you're sick of hearing at this point?
What are we? Let's see. You guys have one joke.
Okay.
Right. And it's well, thanks. That's one more than most comedians.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we found our niche. We got that. We just recently, we have a guy who's saying, you guys are just, right-wing shills. And the shill thing is always interesting because, one, they never test that. They never say oh, you're a shill. Well, offer me some money and see if I change, what I believe based on the money that you give me. Never take you up on that.
It's interesting because at a certain point you become a grifter, which I am now. And then when you get even more successful, you become a shill.
Wow. So I don't
know what the order is, but I know one is more a grifter is someone at this level you hate, and a shill is someone at this level that you hate.
And I think it's a big problem with people where they can't imagine that others who they disagree with have principles or beliefs that they just happen to disagree.
This is what's fascinating to me, this assertion that all these senators from who represent largely rural states are really anti-gun. That the NRA's bought them out. And it's just okay, first of all, you're saying, outbid the NRA. It shouldn't be that hard if all of America agrees with you. And second of all, do you really think that the Center for Wyoming is a closet we shouldn't have civilians have guns? How are you saying this with a straight face?
Or, how many years ago was it when you had the Republican softball team that was fired upon and you had
Steve Scalise,
who was shot, and that dude didn't come out and say, yeah, we need to ban semi-automatic weapons. It's a disconnect where people can't imagine people believe this stuff.
Are you, speaking of I can't imagine people believing this stuff, would you consider yourself a minarchist or an anarchist?
I think a minarchist. A few years ago, I had the really kind of a pussy way of going about it. I was like,
there's no other way to go. Well,
conceptually, I think I'm an anarchist, but in practical, every day to day, I think I'm a minarchist.
Yeah. That is so sad.
I know.
Well, what's your argument against anarchism or pro-minarchism?
Pro-minarchism. I think the one that I continuously bump up against is policing. I think that's the one that I need to read more about and to hear more about how private policing would be better than the state policing. In particular, how the impact it has on poorer communities. How would they sort of organize police departments or militias to protect themselves?
But they're the ones who have to, okay, I hear what you're saying.
So.
But, are you one of these people who think the cops are by and large doing a good job?
Doing a good job? No, I would say I have a tough time being in New York where people get upset with police for enforcing laws that these people help to pass. Okay. So I'm of the mind, if you don't want that law enforced, if you don't want the cigarette tax law enforced, if you don't want them going after people selling loosies, then get rid of the law. So in a way,
So you think the government is representative of the population?
I think to a certain extent. Yeah.
I mean, okay, if I don't like this Lucy law,
Sure.
right? Which do you think is more feasible and practical as a mechanism for me to get this law effectively powerless? One, lobbying. Two, creating enough people to fuck with the cops that at a certain point the cops are like, we're not going to enforce this law.
I mean, yeah, that is
In fact, if one of the big arguments for democracy, right, is I get to call my congressman on the phone and be like, blah, 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 Chuck Schumer, this is terrible. However, I'm not getting Chuck Schumer on the phone. His whatever staff member is just going to be like, okay, cool story, bro. I can easily go up to any cop and be like, dude, this is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And cops, like any human being, will have any excuse not to do the difficult part of their job.
Oh, I thought we were doing role play now.
What role play?
I don't know. Who's the cop?
It's definitely not me.
Not you. Yeah, and then then the cop does have the discretion whether or not he wants to carry that out.
Right.
Yeah. I need to think about it more.
Okay.
So.
Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, you talk about hating Democratic...
You talk a big game, Lou.
You're talking a minarchist.
A minarchist game.
That's very, very, very small game that you could strangle in a bathtub. But how is the police different from clothing?
How's police?
We all need clothing. Poor people need clothing. Mm-hmm. And now we have so much clothing for poor people. We send it to like these third world countries where they're dressing up with T-shirts that say "cum slut" on it because they don't speak English. You know about this, right? In other countries?
No. The cum slut.
Well, not literally cum slut, but I'm saying like if you go to other countries, like in Africa especially, they'll have literally piles of Goodwill shirts that no one wears, and they're 100% cotton, perfectly quality clothes, and they're just dressed with like Adidas logos, or like Festival from 1987.
Yeah. So how's that different than a live human being?
No, how is that different from providing security? We need clothing. It's a vital resource. Everyone needs clothing. The market creates clothing. We have so much clothing, we're not even throwing it out. We're just mailing it to countries that don't have clothes. So the point is, when you have a government monopoly on
force,
on security, specifically security, why would you expect that to operate unlike other government monopolies?
Oh, I'm not saying that I expect it to, not be riddled with corruption and bad things. I'm not, like I said, I just haven't, read enough into, what different private security forces look like or how, but it's one of those things where I think these are really interesting and important conversations to have.
Don't give me that politician
no.
talk. What the
fuck
is
look,
that?
I'm running for school president.
Yeah, I could see.
No.
Conversation.
No. I mean, come on. Obviously, it is interesting, but it's not like my my main thing.
Right, but okay. So let's break this down. Let's go back a step.
Okay.
If your job, as is mine, is to look at these issues from interesting angles,
sure,
and alternative perspectives, and you guys very heavily do this. You're not taking some kind of neocon perspective. You're not doing Republican versus Democrat. You're looking at it like, this is something that's in the culture. This is screwed up, and we're going to, using humor, bring it to the consciousness as opposed to the subconscious level, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is, I'm surprised if you're going to be the voice, and I'm not trying to be antagonistic. I'm sorry for coming off that way. If you're going to be like a face of like libertarian comedy, how you're not familiar with all the different wings.
Yeah. No. I mean, I get questions. Often I do like a monthly Q&A with my fans, and a lot of them will ask me about LP stuff. And
God help us. Okay.
I know, but it in the same token, it's sort of like, shit, I don't know what's going on in the LP. I've never I've done shows and stuff for them, but I'm not into it in that minutia.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess I am. What did we call it earlier with the not the midwit? I'm what was it called? The people who don't like Abba. I have a little bit of that in me, I guess.
That's not what this is at all. Because you're not pretending something you're not. You're not being like, oh, well, I'm smart enough to know that this doesn't work. That's not what you're saying. That's the Midwood response. You're doing the opposite. Okay. You just haven't done the homework.
I have not done the homework.
But you're about to be a dad. How are you going to tell your kid to do the homework if you don't do the homework?
Look, if it's gonna be really tough when my baby's born and he has a Blue Lives Matter birthmark on him. That's gonna be tough, man.
God, God, the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
I was on the Babylon. I've said this on Fox, and I said it again on Babylon B, and in both cases, it did not have a great reaction. That if a German Shepherd can do your job, and maybe we're using the word hero a little loosely, they didn't like that one. But yeah, I do like that one. Okay, so we'll have a lot to talk about on this tour.
Yeah, we certainly. Who should I be reading? Was he Rothbard?
There's one book.
One book.
I have not read Rothbard. I'm a fraud in this regard.
How did you not do your homework, Michael?
I said I'm a fraud. Huh. There's a phenomenal book by previous You're Welcome guest and someone you probably know named Ed Stringham. And it's called Anarchy and the Law. It's a collection of essays. It's like 600 pages. But there's like 20 people in there, and they look at this issue from every single aspect. And it's just phenomenal because there's one essay, and I should really know which one it is because I cite it all the time, where the guy goes, okay, let's look at it this way. Let's suppose you mail me something and it gets lost in the mail. Legally speaking, who should be responsible? We can easily make an argument for you. You're the seller. It's your responsibility to get to my place. We could say it's me. Here's proof. He mailed it. His hands are clean, right? Or post office, right? There's no reason the legal system, we can't have 3 legal systems. And under each legal system, each of those would be the answer, as long as we agree ahead of time that that's going to be the situation. So the point is, if you understand in those terms, there's no reason you have to have a one-size-fits-all legal system where you could have competitive law, which would be cheaper, and would also have quicker results. And the argument is, under minarchism, I'm not saying you're making this argument, that everyone needs recourse to the law. It's the most basic element, blah, blah, blah. But as anyone knows, having access to the law is the most expensive thing. Hiring a lawyer is even more expensive than a doctor. And in fact, no one really has access to the law unless you're dealing with things that are completely minor in value.
It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Think about it. But I mean, these are the kind of things that people need to, I think about. And we never kind of sit down and be like, yeah, wait a minute, what would be the alternative?
Yeah. And I could say just as a New Yorker too, it's one of the scariest things where, you look around on YouTube and you see all these clips of people doing the most outrageous and terrible things to one another, beating each other up.
Sure.
And there's some asshole filming and nobody's jumping in to help. And
because there's a monopoly by the government. And the government has made it illegal to anyone to help without consequences.
To jump in and be
it's like, look, if someone breaks into your house and you shoot them and you shoot their leg, they can sue you. This is dementia. Mm-hmm. But that's the status quo. It's changing now, thankfully, with Castle Doctrine.
Well, yeah. With that, would Castle Doctrine, fit under that rubric?
Oh, I think so, very much so. So, and I'm shocked and delighted. Like now, it's become legal. Like we had for years, ATF, SWAT, cops show up at the wrong house.
Oh yeah,
shoot you.
No knock raids,
and they have no consequences. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, no. This is, you better get the right fucking address.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That with the civil asset forfeiture stuff too. Yeah, really scary stuff about that. I think I wonder if it might be something where sort of all the examples that I sort of encountered or things like that, where I haven't made the leap to, hey, what would this actually look like getting rid of all this?
Well, because in your defense, it's reasonable to say, yeah, all these things are terrible, but the alternative is worse. Mm-hmm. So if you really want us to have no cops and people with machetes, I would prefer asset forfeiture. And I think that's a fair argument to make. Mm-hmm. I think it is incumbent on someone who's arguing for radical change to demonstrate that the alternative would in fact be better. In 1979, when the Shah was being deposed from Iran, they're like, oh, he's a dictator. We got to get rid of him. And this is what happened as a consequence. So it's not always obvious that if something is horrible, the alternative will be better.
I wonder if we were having this conversation like 10 years ago, if I would have been like just sort of, right there with you. I think a part of me is I've gotten softer as I've gotten older.
Really?
Yeah. No, I really have. Like with movies too, stuff like that.
What do you mean? Like you cry more?
I do get emotional more. And also I'm not able to enjoy movies the way that I used to. movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 10 years ago, I would have loved that last scene. I would have thought this was great. But I'm watching that scene last year, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying any of this. Yeah. So I wonder if it's sort of, thoughts of that kind of a revolution, that kind of a big change is just frightening the shit out of me.
Well, I don't think it would be a revolution.
No.
I think it would be very piecemeal, and it's happening right before our eyes. We'll talk more on tour. So this Thursday, the 20th,
Yes.
where can people get tickets?
If they go to wetheinternet.tv events.
And also malice.locals.com. I have all the links. $5. Come say hi, but that's about it because I'm not interested in talking to you people. Then the following Tuesday, we're in Dallas on the 25th.
Yes.
And then we are in Phoenix on the 27th.
27th.
This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you so much, man.
So we're almost out of time.
Okay.
What has been your favorite part of this interview?
My favorite part of this interview was when you weren't grilling me about police.
You are being detained.